Well, first thing, is it in the right form? So correct form. Yes. Okay, good. Move on. Now what I want to do is I want to factor this. And factoring is difficult when you have a minus sign in front. So in order to get rid of the minus sign, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by -1. Multiplying by -1 would get rid of the negative in front. However, it does change all the signs. And not only that, it will change the direction of the inequality. So you probably remember that from a couple lessons before. Alright, so this is the actual problem that I am trying to solve. So what I'm going to do is erase this and rewrite the problem. Okay. Alright, well, let's factor it now. Step 1, factor. Maybe this is step 2 or 3. I don't know, I'm losing track of steps here. Alright, so let's factor this. It's not too bad. Because there's a 1 in front of the x squared, we get to start off like this. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to -3, add to a -2. Well, that's -3 and 1. Okay, greater than 0. So what are my roots? Well, from here, x is going to equal 3. And from here, x equals -1. Okay, these would be the x-intercepts on my graph. And since I'm not graphing it, I don't have to find anything else. No vertex, no y-intercept. Just the number line. And then you plot your roots, so -1 and 3. Okay. Next, we got to figure out where our y values are positive or negative. And it's actually very easy. All we're going to do is we're going to pick a point in each region. And if that point gives us a positive y value, then the entire region is positive. And if it's negative, the entire region is negative. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll pick a point in this region. I'm going to just pick 4. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a nice little table. Keep things organized. So this is our point. And we're going to try 4. What we're going to do is we're going to plug it into the equation. Now you can plug it into the original equation, or the inequality, or you can plug it into the factored form. The factored form is usually easier. Just make sure that it's factored correctly. Okay, so 0, oh sorry, not 0. 4 minus 3, 4 plus 1, that's 1 times 5, that's 5. Which is positive, right? 5 is a positive number. So that means in this region, we are positive. Pick a point in this region here. Probably the easiest one would be 0. Let's try x equals 0. We get 0 minus 3, 0 plus 1, okay, which is -3, which is negative. We got a negative here. And in this region, let's do, I don't know, -4. Again, it doesn't matter what point you're picking. Just pick a nice point. Don't pick decimals or fractions or anything like that. Alright, so -4 minus 3, -4 plus 1. Well, that's -7 times -3. That's 21. But it's positive. And that's all I cared about. Now, ignoring the actual question right now, I just want to interpret this. And what this tells me is that x squared minus 2x minus 3 is greater than 0 when x is less than -1. Okay. So there's -1. And, or when x is greater than 3. And that's what this number line tells me. The number line also tells me that x squared minus 2x minus 3 is less than 0 when you're between negative 1 and 3. Now again, I'm only doing this so that you can interpret the number line. But the original problem is greater than 0, so that's all I'm concerned about. And I am greater than 0, or positive, in this region and over here. So my answer is this. And that's it. So no graphing, no vertex, no y-intercept. But you do have a graphing calculator. And what's nice about a graphing calculator is it may help you figure out whether you are correct. So if we pull out a graphing calculator, turn it on, we're going to go ahead and graph it. So x squared minus 2x minus 3, graph it, then we get something like this. Notice that my function is positive when I'm less than negative 1, which is exactly what I said over here. I am between negative 1 and 3, I'm negative, and my function is below the x-axis. And look, that's exactly what we got here. It's negative. And then past 3, x is greater than 3, it is positive. So the graphing calculator verifies my answer. And you don't want to use your graphing calculator as the primary to do this, because doing this, we had a factor, which keeps your factoring skills sharp, and sometimes you may not have a graphing calculator, maybe your battery dies. So you do want to know how to do this without the graphing calculator. But it's an additional source, and it helps us figure out whether we are right. And it did. Alright, let's try 2x squared greater than 9x plus 18. Alright, so let's solve this one. Notice that it is not in the right form. So it's not in the correct form. In order to do that, we need to bring the 9x, subtract the 9x, and subtract the 18 over to the other side. So what we're going to get is 2x squared minus 9x minus 18 greater than 0. Alright, so this is what I want to solve. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. First thing is we're going to have to factor this. Now, the problem here is you can't just do this, because the number in front of x squared is not a 1. And we had our own separate technique to factor things like this. And we called this the AC method. At least I'm going to call it the AC method. It depends on who's teaching you this, but I'm going to call it the AC method. Alright, so what we're going to do, and here's A, B, and C. You multiply A and C together, which gives us negative 36. And what I want is to find numbers that multiply to negative 36 but add to negative 9. Let's try negative 1 and 36. Well, that's 35. Okay. How about negative 2 and 18? No, that adds to 16. How about negative 3 and 12? Well, that adds to a positive 9. Okay. I'm only writing the positive here is because it's the same number. We wanted negative 9, we got a positive 9. Right? Same number but the wrong sign. And if it's the wrong sign, it means these two just had the wrong sign. And so you just flip them. Make it a positive 3 and a negative 12. That's a negative 9. So here's our winner. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to rewrite B, the negative 9x, using 3 and negative 12. So it's going to be 2x squared minus 12x plus 3x minus 18. And now that we have 4 terms, we factor by grouping. Okay, so put parentheses around your first group, parentheses around the second group. Okay, what can you pull out from the first group? And you can pull out a 2 and an x, leaving x minus 6. And in the second group, we can pull out a 3, leaving x minus 6. Now, between these two groups, what do they have in common? Well, they both have the x minus 6. So we're going to pull the x minus 6 out front. What's left over when you pull out the x minus 6 is 2x plus 3. Alright, so we have now factored it. What are our roots? Well, what makes this thing 0? X equals 6. What makes this 0? I'll let you check that, but it will be negative 3/2. So these are our intercepts. Okay. And then we are going to plot it on the number line. So let's actually put the number line down here. So we got negative 3/2 and 6. Okay. Just out of curiosity, let's take out the graphing calculator and let's graph this. So it was 2x squared minus 9x minus 18. When you graph it, well, look, we have, it's positive here, positive here. So if we're right, we're going to get this. If we're right. So let's go ahead and check to see if we are. Now the method says pick a point in each region. I'm going to make a nice little table again. Pick a point. So why don't we try 7? Okay. So plug that into our inequality. So that would be 7 minus 6, and then 2 times 7 plus 3. Well, that's 17. That's positive, which is good. That's what we knew was going to happen. If we pick a number between negative 3/2 and 6, say 0, we get 0 minus 6, and then 2 times 0 plus 3. That's negative 6 times 3. That's negative 18. That's negative. Okay? Which is what we saw in the graph. Right? Between negative 3 and 6, we are below the x-axis, so this is negative. And finally, pick a point to the left of negative 3/2. Negative 3/2 is negative 1.5. Negative 2. So that's negative 2 minus 8. That's 2 times negative 2 plus 3. I'm sorry, negative 2 minus 6. Wow. That's negative 8. And then this is negative 4 plus 3. That's negative 1. And that's positive 8. Okay, well, that's positive. Exactly what we knew was going to happen. Alright, so let's interpret this number line. We know 2x squared minus 9x minus 18 will be positive when x is less than negative 3/2 or x is greater than 6. And we know that 2x squared minus 9x minus 18 will be less than 0 when you are between negative 3/2 and 6. Okay. Which one is the one we were looking for? Back up and check. We are looking for when it was greater than 0. Go down. Which one is greater than 0? Right here. So here's our answers. X has to be less than negative 3/2, and x has to be greater than 6. Now, a good way of practicing, besides factoring, because this is the way you're supposed to be doing it,